The battlefield was silent now, but it wasn't peace. Smoke rose from the ruined buildings, twisting into the dark sky like angry fingers. Broken machines and shattered weapons littered the ground. Somewhere in the distance, faint screams echoed, but no one came to answer them. Jackson Kane, the human soldier, crawled through the debris. Blood covered his uniform, soaking into the torn fabric. His body ached with every movement, and each breath was a sharp stab in his chest. The battle had been a disaster. His squad was wiped out in minutes, and he had been left alone. He had fought bravely, but against the alien vampire horde, bravery didn't matter. Survival did. He stopped behind a broken wall, leaning against the cold stone. His hands shook, and he looked at them, wondering how much longer he could hold on. The aliens were still out there. Their glowing eyes could pierce the darkness, and their claws could tear through a man in seconds. Jackson had seen it happen to his friends, once, twice, too many times. For a long moment, he thought he would die there, in the cold, ruined city, forgotten by the world. His mind wandered to home, to the people he had left behind, to the dreams he had once held. Everything seemed so distant now. The universe had a strange way of taking everything from you before giving anything back. Then a shadow moved. Jackson froze, his heart hammering in his chest. The shadow was human-shaped but moved too smoothly, too quickly to be human. Its skin had a strange shimmer, almost like liquid silver. Its eyes glowed red, and its fangs caught the dim light of the burning city. The alien vampire had found him. Jackson swallowed hard. He had two choices, fight and die, or surrender and hope for mercy. But he had seen what mercy looked like from these creatures. There was none. Before he could decide, the alien spoke. Its voice was soft, almost musical, but carried a weight that made Jackson's blood run cold. "You are dying, human," it said. "Yet you still breathe. You want to live, do you not?" Jackson's mouth went dry. He wanted to speak, but no words came out. He nodded weakly. "You have a choice," the alien continued. "Drink my blood and survive. Refuse and die here alone, forgotten." Jackson blinked. The offer was insane. He had heard stories, rumors whispered among the few survivors. Alien vampire blood could grant strength, speed, even immortality, but it came with a cost. Once you drank, you were no longer fully human. Many had tried and all had vanished, consumed by the power that they could not control. His mind screamed at him to refuse. Yet his body betrayed him. His wounds were severe. His strength was gone. He was too weak to move, too weak to fight. Every moment he hesitated, the pain gnawed at him, and death crept closer. Jackson's hand trembled as he reached out. The alien's fingers were cold but firm as they touched his wrist, pressing a small vial into his palm. The liquid inside glowed faintly, red like liquid fire. "Drink," the alien whispered. Jackson hesitated for one last heartbeat. Then, his fear, pain, and desperate desire to survive collided. He tilted his head back and drank. The moment the blood touched his lips, a fire erupted inside him. It was not just warmth. It was energy, power, and agony all at once. His muscles screamed as they expanded and strengthened. His vision sharpened. He could hear the faintest whisper, the softest footsteps, the flutter of wings far above. Pain and power danced together in his veins, tearing at his humanity. He fell to the ground, convulsing. The alien vampire knelt beside him, watching as though judging the human's reaction. Jackson tried to speak, to ask what had happened to him, but his tongue felt heavy, uncooperative. His mind raced, and strange thoughts flashed before him. Hunger, dominance, instinct. He had never felt anything like this before. Time became meaningless. Seconds stretched into hours, or maybe it was minutes. Every nerve, every cell in his body pulsed with energy. He felt stronger than he had ever dreamed. He felt alive. And yet, something deep inside him screamed in terror. Finally, the convulsions stopped. Jackson opened his eyes, expecting darkness, expecting pain, but instead, He saw the world more vividly than he ever had. Colors were brighter. Shapes were sharper. Sounds, even distant ones, hit him clearly. His injuries, once mortal, now burned only slightly, as though his body rejected the wounds that had almost killed him. The alien stood and extended a hand. "Rise, Jackson Kane. You are no longer as you were. The universe will notice you now." Jackson pulled himself up, his legs unsteady at first. Every movement was new, unfamiliar, yet powerful. He could feel his strength coursing through his body. He flexed his fingers, watching as tiny sparks of energy danced across his skin. Fear battled with excitement. This power, this blood, had saved him, yes, but at what cost? He looked at the alien, searching for answers. What am I now?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "You are something between worlds," the alien replied. "Neither human nor fully vampire. You carry both, yet belong to neither. The universe will test you. Some will fear you. Some will seek to control you. But you will decide your own path." Jackson swallowed hard. He had survived, yes. But survival had changed him. He was no longer just a soldier. He was something more. Something dangerous. As he took his first steps forward, the battlefield seemed different. Shadows moved, not just from the fire, but from creatures he had never noticed before. His enhanced senses picked up whispers, movements, distant threats. He realized, with a sinking feeling, that he was now a part of a war much larger than he had imagined. Suddenly, a scream echoed from nearby ruins. Jackson froze. It was human, but it sounded terrified. Without thinking, he sprinted toward the sound. His new body moved with unbelievable speed, his wounds forgotten, his strength overwhelming. He found a young soldier trapped under a fallen beam, crying and panicking. Without hesitation, Jackson lifted it effortlessly, saving the human. The soldier looked at him, awe and fear mixed in his eyes. You're not human," the young man stammered. Jackson did not answer. He only nodded once, understanding the truth himself. He was not the man he had been. He was something else, something the universe had not yet seen. The alien vampire watched from a distance, its red eyes glinting. "The path begins," it murmured, "and he has chosen it." Jackson turned back to the battlefield. The smoke, the fire, the cries of dying soldiers, all of it seemed both familiar and alien now. He had survived, but the war was far from over. If anything, it had only just begun. In that moment, Jackson Kane made a silent promise, to himself, to humanity, and perhaps to the universe. He would not let this power control him. He would master it. He would survive. And when the time came, he would change the course of the war forever. Little did he know, the choices he made in the coming hours would shock not just humanity, but the aliens themselves. The universe had seen nothing yet. The first light of dawn painted the ruined city in pale orange and gray. Smoke still drifted lazily from the collapsed buildings, curling like ghostly fingers into the sky. The battlefield was quiet now, but for Jackson Kane, silence was foreign. Every sound, every movement, felt magnified, as if the world had become alive in a way he had never noticed before. Jackson lay in the rubble, his body twitching involuntarily. His muscles flexed and stretched with a strength he hadn't known he possessed. He tested a finger, then his arm, then a leg. Movements that had once been painful were now effortless. He flexed his hands and watched the subtle glow in his veins, faint but unmistakable. The alien blood coursing through him was changing more than his body. It was changing the very way he perceived life. The memory of the previous night flooded back, his squad, the aliens, the vial of blood, and the firestorm of power that had ripped through him when he drank it. He shivered, not from cold, but from something deeper. Fear and exhilaration danced together inside him. Jackson stood, testing his strength. He jumped over a pile of rubble with ease, landing silently despite the weight of his body. His ears picked up the faintest whispers of life. A bird fluttered nearby, and he could hear the rapid beating of its wings. Somewhere far away, a machine whined as if straining under invisible weight. Every sound was clearer, sharper, closer. Then came the first unexpected surprise. Jackson's reflection appeared in a shard of glass, and the face staring back at him was not quite human. His eyes glowed faintly red, and his skin shimmered under the sun. A ripple of unease ran through him. He was alive, yes, but the man he had been, the human soldier, was gone, replaced by something unknown. Jackson wandered through the ruins, exploring. Every step revealed something new. Broken weapons seemed lighter in his hands, yet he could feel their hidden energy as if they were extensions of his body. The ground beneath his feet seemed to hum with life. He could hear the heartbeat of the earth itself, the subtle vibration of creatures moving in the distance. He realized he could sense everything, predators, prey, friend, and foe alike. Hours passed. Jackson experimented with his new abilities. He leaped across rooftops effortlessly, dodged falling debris, and even caught a stray rifle midair as if it had been meant for him. Power surged through his veins, intoxicating and frightening all at once. But with every new ability, a shadow of hunger crept along the edges of his mind. He tried to push it away. He was human, still human, or at least he wanted to be. Yet the blood inside him whispered, a soft, seductive voice that promised strength, survival, dominance. Jackson clenched his fists, shaking his head. "No," he muttered. "I control it, not the other way around." His solitude was shattered when a sudden movement caught his eye. Across the ruined street, a group of alien vampires appeared, moving in a way only they could, graceful, fluid, and deadly. Jackson froze, instinct taking over. He could feel their presence in his bones, their intentions in the air. They were observing him, waiting. One of them stepped forward, tall and regal, its wings partially unfolded. Its glowing red eyes met Jackson's, and a chill ran down his spine despite the warmth of the morning sun. This one was different, stronger, ancient. Its gaze pierced into his very soul. "You survived," the alien said, its voice smooth yet commanding. "Few humans live after drinking our blood. Fewer still walk freely after awakening. You are remarkable." Jackson's voice trembled slightly as he responded. "Who are you? What do you want?" The alien's lips curled into a faint smile. "I am Kaldar. I have been watching you. Drinking our blood changes more than the body. It changes destiny. You are not like your kind anymore. You are the bridge." Jackson took a step back. A bridge? Between what? Kaldar's gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. Between humanity and the ancient line of our kind. You carry power that could shift the balance of the universe. But power is never free. You must choose your path carefully, or it will choose for you. Jackson's mind raced. He wanted answers, but his instinct screamed caution. Every fiber of his being had changed. He could feel Kaldar's strength, the dark aura of centuries-old power radiating off the alien. He realized, with a mixture of awe and fear, that he was no longer at the top of the hierarchy. Not yet. He turned away, needing space to think. He ran, testing his speed, his new senses guiding him through the destroyed streets. His body moved faster than any human should, dodging debris, vaulting over obstacles, and landing without a sound. Yet each leap, each movement, brought a strange emptiness, a whispering hunger that tugged at him. Jackson stopped atop a crumbling building, looking down at the ruined city below. Humans had fought, humans had died, and he had survived, but at what cost? He was stronger, faster, sharper, but was he still human? His mind refused to accept the idea. He clenched his fists, fighting the alien urges inside him. Hunger, power, dominance, all simmered beneath his skin, waiting for a moment of weakness. A sudden sound snapped him out of his thoughts, a faint cry from the distance. It was human. Without hesitation, Jackson leapt toward the sound. The cries led him to a collapsed building. Inside, trapped under fallen beams, was a group of survivors, children, women, a few soldiers. Their eyes widened as he approached. Fear, awe, and desperation were written across every face. Jackson hesitated. The alien urges whispered, "Use your strength. Take what you need. Feed. Dominate." But Jackson shook his head and focused. He lifted the debris effortlessly, saving the humans trapped beneath. Their eyes were wide, mouths open, trembling, but he did not speak. He simply nodded, helping them to their feet, guiding them away from danger. For a brief moment, Jackson felt a surge of hope. Perhaps he could still be human. Perhaps he could master this power instead of being consumed by it. Yet as they moved through the streets, Jackson sensed it, an invisible tension. Shadows moved in ways that were unnatural. Creatures lurked beyond perception, watching, waiting. His senses screamed danger. He turned sharply, catching a glimpse of Kaldar watching from afar. The alien's eyes were unreadable, calculating. Jackson realized something chilling. He was being tested. Every moment, every choice mattered. His survival was no longer just about himself. It was about something much bigger. And the universe, vast and indifferent, was already noticing him. That night, Jackson lay in a ruined building, the survivors sleeping in uneasy silence around him. He stared at the ceiling, the alien blood still pulsing in his veins. Hunger whispered softly, reminding him of what he was becoming. Yet he focused on another thought, stronger than the alien urges, humanity. He had to hold on, to remember who he was, even if he could never be the same again. He didn't notice the faint glow in the corner of the room. A shadow moved, observing him, silent and patient. Kaldar's voice echoed in his mind, almost like a warning. "The universe watches, Jackson Kane. Your awakening is only the beginning." Outside, the stars gleamed, indifferent to the struggles below. Jackson knew one thing with certainty. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a force unlike any the galaxy had seen. And whether he wanted it or not, the universe would soon learn his name. The awakening had begun. And the unexpected turning point of his life had just become a storm that no one, not human or alien, could escape. The night was darker than Jackson Kane had ever seen. The ruins of the city stretched endlessly, twisted metal and broken walls casting jagged shadows under the faint light of distant fires. Every corner seemed alive, whispering secrets of death and chaos. Yet Jackson felt alive, too alive, almost painfully so. The alien blood in his veins pulsed, a constant reminder that he was no longer just human. He moved silently, almost gliding over the rubble, his enhanced senses alert. Every heartbeat, every breath, every slight movement in the shadows was audible to him. He could smell the faint copper tang of blood, the acrid smoke of burning metal, and even the fear in the few remaining humans trapped nearby. Jackson knew he couldn't stay still. Kaldar's presence haunted him, a shadow of expectation. The alien had not yet approached him directly, but Jackson felt the gaze of his mentor, or perhaps his watcher, everywhere he went. And there was another weight pressing on him, the knowledge that the human military was still out there, hunting him, not just for what he had become, but for the power he now held. He leapt across a collapsed street, landing silently behind a fallen wall. His thoughts drifted to the battle from the previous day, the screams of his squad, and the bitter taste of survival. He still remembered the moment he drank the alien blood and the fire that tore through his veins. He had survived, but he had changed, and that change was no longer just physical. Jackson's thoughts were interrupted by movement ahead. He froze. Shadows slithered along the walls, twisting unnaturally. A group of alien vampires emerged, moving with deadly grace. Their eyes glowed red, sharp fangs glinting in the dim light. Jackson could sense their intentions. They wanted him, and they wanted him dead. The first instinct that surged through him was violence. He could feel the alien blood responding, urging him to strike, to dominate, to kill without hesitation. Yet Jackson hesitated. He had survived the last encounter because he had chosen to drink, not because he had killed. He was not a monster, at least he tried not to be. The alien vampires noticed his paws. One stepped forward, taller than the rest, its wings partially spread. Jackson's heartbeat quickened. He knew that this one was different. Ancient, powerful, a leader among its kind. "You are strong, human," the leader said, its voice like liquid steel. "Stronger than most. But strength alone does not make you worthy." Jackson clenched his fists. "I don't want to fight," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "I want to survive, and protect those who cannot." The alien laughed softly. "Survival is meaningless if you are weak. We will test you. Only then will you know your true potential." Without warning, the vampires attacked. Jackson's body reacted before his mind could process. He moved faster than any human should, dodging claws, weaving through strikes that could have shattered bones. He felt the alien blood guiding him, enhancing him, whispering tactical solutions in a language he barely understood. For the first time, Jackson realized the full extent of his powers. He could move faster than the eye could follow, sense the direction of attacks before they happened, and counter with devastating precision. A single strike from his fist sent one of the vampires flying across the rubble, yet he did not kill. It was not instinct to destroy, only to defend. The battle stretched on, a deadly dance across the ruins. Jackson felt exhilaration and fear intertwining. Each strike was a test, each dodge a revelation of his new abilities. Yet beneath it all, he felt a creeping unease. The hunger in his veins, the alien part of him, was growing stronger. It whispered, urging him to kill, to dominate, to abandon restraint. After what felt like hours, the vampires paused, circling him like predators around a young lion. Jackson stood, chest heaving, sweat mingling with blood on his skin. He had survived the first test, but he knew it was only the beginning. "You are different," the leader said, voice tinged with curiosity. "You resisted the instinct to dominate. Few have ever done that. But this is only the first trial. The next will test more than your strength. It will test your soul." Jackson's mind raced. He knew he had grown stronger, faster, nearly unstoppable. But he also knew that his humanity was fragile. Every act of restraint drained him as much as it preserved him. Every choice could push him closer to the monster the alien blood wanted him to become. He moved away from the vampires, back into the shadows of the ruined city. The adrenaline faded, replaced by an unsettling calm. Jackson could feel the power thrumming through him, but it was a double-edged sword. It was a gift, yes, but a dangerous one. One mistake, one slip of control, and he could become what he feared most, a predator without conscience. His thoughts were interrupted by a faint cry. A child trapped under a collapsed beam. Without hesitation, Jackson rushed to the sound. The alien blood surged in response to his purpose, strengthening his muscles, sharpening his reflexes. He lifted the debris with ease, saving the child. The eyes of the little girl widened in awe and fear, mirroring the same mixture he had seen in the soldier he saved before. Jackson realized, in that moment, that his path would not be easy. He could save lives, but every act of heroism drew attention. Both humans and aliens would watch him, test him, try to control him. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a symbol, a force of nature, a bridge between worlds. That night, Jackson perched atop a crumbling tower, looking down at the city. Fires burned in the distance, smoke twisting into the night sky. He could hear whispers, faint, almost inaudible, but they were everywhere. The universe itself seemed to notice him. Kaldar appeared, emerging from the shadows as silently as the wind. "You have passed the first trial," the alien said. "But trials are never truly over. You will face choices that test not just your strength, but your morality, your humanity. And sometimes the hardest battles are within." Jackson met Kaldar's gaze. "I am still human," he said, though the words felt heavy. "I won't let this power destroy me. I won't become a monster." Kaldar's eyes glinted in the moonlight. "We shall see, Jackson Kane. The universe does not care for promises. Only actions matter." And your next test will be unlike anything you have faced. Jackson turned away, staring at the city below. His mind was racing, filled with questions, doubts, and the heavy weight of responsibility. He had survived the first test, but he knew this was only the beginning. Every choice, every action, would shape not only his destiny, but the destiny of the entire human race, and perhaps even the alien civilizations watching him. A sudden movement caught his attention. In the distance, a squad of human soldiers moved through the ruins, their weapons trained on shadows he could sense, but they could not. Jackson realized, with a sinking feeling, that he had become a target. Not just for aliens, but for his own kind. His heart raced. The line between friend and foe had blurred. Humans might see him as a threat, aliens might see him as prey, and he could trust no one completely, not even himself. Jackson clenched his fists, feeling the alien power coursing through him, mixing with the humanity he desperately tried to hold on to. He knew one thing for certain. The next test would not be about strength alone. It would be about choice. And choices, he realized with a chill, could be more dangerous than any weapon. He looked at the stars above, the silent witnesses to the chaos below. Somewhere in the vastness of space, the universe was watching, waiting to see what he would become. Jackson Kane, the human soldier turned hybrid, felt a shiver run down his spine. The awakening was far from over, and the first true test of his soul had only just begun. The night was heavier now, as if the darkness itself pressed against Jackson Kane. The city lay in ruins beneath him, jagged silhouettes of shattered buildings casting long shadows under the pale glow of distant fires. Silence had fallen, but it was deceptive. Somewhere, far in the shadows, life and death moved in patterns Jackson could feel, sense, but not fully see. He crouched atop a crumbled wall, his senses alert. Every beat of a hidden creature, every whisper of the wind, every distant footstep, it all reached him with sharp clarity. The alien blood inside him pulsed rhythmically, like a drum, reminding him of the hunger he had tried so hard to resist. It had started slowly. First, a faint craving for something he couldn't name. Then, moments of anger, of desire, of something darker that lurked beneath his human will. Jackson had resisted so far, holding on to the fragments of his humanity. But tonight, the hunger felt different, stronger, sharper. It whispered promises of power, of strength beyond imagination, but also of dominance, of taking life without restraint. He shook his head, trying to focus. He had a mission, a purpose, a responsibility. Saving humans had been his first instinct after awakening. Protecting them had grounded him. But he knew the whispers were patient. They would not be denied forever. Suddenly, movement caught his attention. 3 human soldiers emerged from the rubble below, weapons raised. Jackson tensed instinctively. Humans? Allies? Or hunters? He could feel the caution radiating off them. They didn't recognize him, couldn't recognize him. Not fully. He had changed too much. Stop. Hands where we can see them, one shouted. Jackson raised his hands slowly, but the alien instincts flared, sharpening his senses, quickening his reflexes. He could feel the slightest twitch of their fingers on the triggers, the quickened pulse of their hearts. He could have struck before they even fired. The temptation pulsed, irresistible. Kill them. They could not see what he had become. They would only fear him, oppose him. He clenched his fists, forcing the blood to calm. I don't want to fight, he said, his voice steady but low. I'm not your enemy. The soldiers hesitated, exchanging glances. One lowered his weapon slightly. What are you? Another asked, voice trembling. Jackson's eyes glimmered faintly in the darkness. He wanted to explain, to calm them, but he knew no words could fully convey what he had become. Alien blood ran through his veins, sharpening his body, twisting his mind, awakening instincts that were not entirely human. Before he could decide, a sudden sound erupted, a scream from the other side of the street. Instinct took over. Jackson moved faster than human eyes could follow, crossing the distance in a few steps. A group of alien vampires had cornered a small human family. The creatures moved with lethal grace, fangs glinting in the firelight, claws ready to tear through flesh. Jackson's heart raced. Hunger surged, a dark, almost intoxicating fire inside him. He could feel his muscles tensing, energy thrumming in his veins. The whispers were louder now. Strike.
Kill. Feed.
Show your strength. He forced himself to breathe, to think, to control it. His eyes flickered red as he focused on purpose instead of instinct. This was not about dominance. This was about protection. The battle began. Jackson moved like lightning, faster than any human could perceive. He dodged strikes with supernatural precision, countering with strength that shattered the alien vampire's attacks. Each movement was fluid, a deadly dance between predator and prey. Yet unlike the others, he did not kill them outright. He disarmed, incapacitated, restrained. The blood within him roared in protest, craving violence, but Jackson forced control, forcing himself to remain human in his choices. When the fight ended, the family was safe, trembling but alive. Jackson helped them to their feet, guiding them through the ruined streets. Yet, even in victory, unease gnawed at him. Each act of restraint drained him, made the hunger sharper. The alien instincts whispered with greater urgency. You can be so much more. You can be unstoppable. You can dominate. Jackson shook his head, forcing focus. He could not let the hunger rule him. Not yet. He had to master it, or it would consume him. That night, he found a safe place to rest, hidden in a collapsed building. The humans he had saved slept nearby, trusting him despite their fear. Jackson sat in the shadows, feeling the alien blood pulse in his veins, feeling the power that had saved him but also threatened to destroy him. Memories of the battlefield, of the alien vampires, of the soldiers who might see him as a threat, they all crowded his mind. The line between right and wrong, human and monster, was blurring. He realized with a chill that his greatest enemy might not be the aliens outside, but the hunger inside. Kaldar appeared silently in the corner of the room, his glowing eyes watching Jackson. The hunger grows, the alien said softly. You cannot deny it forever. But control is not weakness. Control is power. You must decide. Will it master you, or will you master it? Jackson clenched his fists, feeling the tension inside him. I will not let it control me, he whispered, voice low but determined. I will stay human. I will protect them, even if it destroys me. Kaldar nodded, a faint smile on his face. Then the next test approaches. The universe will test not only your strength but your morality. Hunger is only the first step. The choices you make now will shape the destiny of not just yourself, but countless others. Jackson felt a chill. He knew the alien was right. Hunger was only the beginning. Soon, he would face situations where the line between saving and destroying would blur completely, where he might have to choose between the humans he wanted to protect and the alien instincts that demanded power. Hours passed. The humans slept, unaware of the storm brewing in the veins of the man guarding them. Jackson stared at the ceiling, the alien blood whispering promises he fought to resist. Shadows moved outside, distant yet observing, waiting for a moment of weakness. Then came a scream from above. Jackson leapt to the rooftop, faster than human eyes could follow. He saw a figure, a human soldier, attacking one of the aliens he had fought earlier. Chaos erupted. Jackson's senses sharpened. He could feel the tension, the fear, the anger, the hunger, all mixing in a deadly cocktail. He had a choice. Act, or let events unfold. The whispers urged him. Strike.
Kill.
Dominate. But Jackson remembered his promise. Protect, even if it destroys me. He moved, a blur of motion and power. In seconds, the fight was over. The human soldier lay unconscious, the alien restrained but alive. Jackson felt the hunger pulse, more insistently than ever. The alien instincts wanted him to cross the line, to give in to the power that could make him unstoppable. But Jackson clenched his fists, grounding himself. He had survived, controlled the hunger, and protected life. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The dark hunger would not be denied forever. It would test him again, harder and closer, and the universe would be watching. As dawn broke, painting the ruined city in pale light, Kane looked over the horizon. He was stronger than ever, yet more aware of the peril within. Every act of restraint was a victory, but every victory made the hunger sharper. He realized that his journey was not just about survival or strength, it was about mastery, about the eternal struggle between the human he was and the alien he had become. The universe had set its eyes on him, and the first true test of his soul had begun. The dark hunger was only the start. The city was waking slowly, smoke still curling from the ruins, casting the streets in shades of gray and red. Kane stood atop a collapsed tower, the early sunlight glinting off the shards of glass around him. His eyes scanned the horizon. The world felt different now. He had survived battles, tamed the dark hunger, and controlled the alien instincts within him. But survival alone was not enough.
He had to act.
Jackson had learned one simple truth. Power alone did not define a warrior.
How he used it did.
Every human he saved, every alien he restrained, every battle he fought, it was all part of the reputation he was slowly building. Legends were not born. They were forged, tempered in the fires of impossible choices. The first humans he had saved still followed him cautiously. Their fear was evident, but so was their trust. They whispered among themselves, telling stories of the soldier who moved faster than thought, stronger than any man, who had defeated alien vampires without killing them. Jackson ignored the praise. He focused on purpose, protection, survival, mastery. His first challenge came quickly. A group of alien vampires had cornered a convoy of human soldiers, cutting off all escape. Their fangs glinted, claws poised for lethal strikes. Jackson landed silently among them, and the world seemed to slow. He could sense every movement, every intention, every hidden strike before it happened. His reflexes were sharper than any soldier could imagine. He moved with calculated precision. One strike incapacitated a vampire's arm, another disabled its legs. He fought not to kill, but to subdue. Yet the alien instincts in him whispered constantly, urging him to push further, to dominate, to strike deadly. He clenched his fists, grounding himself in humanity, forcing his body to channel strength without cruelty. The humans in the convoy watched in awe. They had heard stories, but seeing him in action was unlike anything they had imagined. Jackson's speed, precision, and power were unmatched. Yet he remained in control, every decision deliberate, every action measured. By the time the battle ended, the convoy was safe. Jackson had proven himself once again, not just to humans, but to the alien forces observing from the shadows. He had become a legend in whispers, the name Kane spreading among soldiers and civilians alike. But legends come with burdens. Jackson felt the weight of expectation pressing on him. The aliens were not defeated, only delayed. Humans would now look to him for guidance and protection, even though he was no longer fully one of them. And the hunger inside him, the alien instincts, never slept. They watched, whispered, waited for a moment of weakness. Kaldar appeared quietly as Jackson surveyed the battlefield. The ancient vampire's red eyes gleamed with approval. "You have taken your first steps toward legendhood," he said. "But legends are more than strength. They are choices, strategy, and sometimes fear." Jackson nodded, understanding. Power alone was meaningless without wisdom. The universe was watching, and every move mattered. The following days passed in a blur of battles and rescues. Jackson moved from one conflict to another, each time mastering his powers further. He learned to anticipate enemy movements, to manipulate terrain, to fight with precision and strategy rather than brute force. The humans who followed him grew confident, trusting in his abilities. They whispered of him in hushed tones, some with reverence, others with fear. Jackson knew the fear was as important as the admiration. Power unchallenged can breed arrogance, but power that inspires respect and fear can shape the battlefield itself. The aliens, too, began to notice. Rumors of a hybrid human with unmatched strength spread across their ranks. Whispers of the one who survived the blood reached even their most powerful leaders. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jackson sat atop a hill overlooking a destroyed alien stronghold. The battle had been won, but the city lay in ruins. The alien blood inside him pulsed, reminding him of its power, its hunger, its constant whisper for dominance. He flexed his fingers, feeling the strength, the potential, the intoxicating pull of the predator within. A sudden disturbance in the distance caught his attention. Alien reinforcements, larger and more organized than any he had faced before, approached. Jackson could sense their numbers, their formations, their strategy. They were not mindless hunters. They were a calculated threat. He moved swiftly to intercept, his body a blur in the fading light. The battle was unlike any he had fought before. Alien vampires moved in perfect coordination, striking with precision and cunning. Jackson responded with equal skill, his enhanced senses predicting their movements, his strength countering their strikes, his strategy turning their attacks against them. He realized something profound. He was no longer just reacting. He was leading. Every move he made, every decision, shaped the battlefield. Humans and aliens alike followed his actions, adapting, reacting, surviving because of him. He had become a force, a legend in the making, not through brutality, but through mastery. As the dust settled, Jackson stood alone amid the fallen, the city silent once again. Humans approached cautiously, awe and fear evident on their faces. Alien forces retreated, leaving whispers of the hybrid human who had outmatched them. Jackson's chest heaved with exhaustion, but his mind was alert, calculating, aware. Kaldar appeared once more, his expression unreadable. "You have become more than a soldier, Jackson Kane," he said. "You are a symbol, a force, a legend. But remember, legends attract attention, both wanted and unwanted. The universe has noticed you, and it does not forgive mistakes." Jackson looked out over the horizon, the weight of his choices pressing down. He was stronger than any human, faster than any enemy, more aware than any soldier. Yet, he was not invincible. Every act of heroism, every decision to spare or subdue, carried consequences. The humans he protected could turn against him. The aliens he fought could return stronger, more cunning, more deadly. And beneath it all, the alien hunger pulsed, reminding him that power came at a cost. It whispered of domination, of instinct over morality, of the predator he could become. Jackson clenched his fists, feeling the tension within him. He had survived the dark hunger, but he knew this was only the beginning. That night, as he stood atop a hill watching the stars, Jackson Kane made a silent promise. He would master this power. He would protect humanity. He would become a legend not through fear alone, but through control, strategy, and unwavering resolve. The universe would remember his name. Little did he know, whispers of his deeds had reached beyond the city, beyond the planet, into the farthest reaches of space. Civilizations, both human and alien, would soon take notice. The legend of Jackson Kane was only beginning, and with each choice, each battle, each act of mastery, the universe edged closer to a revelation that would shock all who witnessed it. The next challenge would not be a battle of strength or speed. It would be a test of influence, leadership, and the courage to make decisions that could reshape galaxies. Jackson Kane had become more than a soldier. He had become a force the universe could no longer ignore. The stars stretched endlessly above Jackson Kane, a glittering tapestry of light that seemed serene from a distance but concealed the chaos beneath. He stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking the ruins of what had once been a thriving city. Smoke drifted lazily into the sky, carrying the scent of destruction. Below, humans rebuilt in cautious hope, and whispers of his deeds spread quickly. Everywhere, the name Jackson Kane was spoken in awe and fear. But Jackson's mind was not on accolades or admiration. It was on the universe itself. Ever since the first alien blood had coursed through his veins, he had sensed more than humans could imagine. The pulse of life on his planet, the distant thrum of alien civilizations, even the faint energy of fleets in orbit. He could feel it all. His senses had grown beyond human comprehension, and with each act, each battle, he realized the subtle truth. His choices echoed far beyond his immediate surroundings. A ripple of disturbance reached him. A fleet of alien ships moving faster than light, coordinated with precision that only centuries of experience could achieve. They had heard of him. They had watched him. He had become a legend, yes, but also a threat. Jackson's chest tightened. The blood inside him pulsed faster, not with hunger, but with awareness. He could feel the lives on board those ships, the fear, the anticipation, the intent. These aliens were not mindless predators. They were intelligent, calculating, and now they regarded him as an anomaly that must be controlled or destroyed. Kaldar appeared silently at his side, as if he had always been there. "They have noticed you," the ancient vampire said, voice calm, yet heavy with implication. "Not just your power, Jackson Kane. Your influence. Every act of protection, every battle, every life you have saved, it has shifted the balance. Civilizations are watching. The universe itself has taken notice." Jackson clenched his fists. "What do they want? To destroy me?" Kaldar shook his head slowly.
Some will, yes.
"Others will seek alliance. Some will test you, but none will ignore you. You're no longer a soldier on a battlefield. You are a variable in the grand equation of the cosmos." A sudden flash of light streaked across the sky. Jackson's enhanced vision tracked it instantly, a scout ship, alien and sleek, designed for reconnaissance. He could sense its energy signature, its weak points, its patterns. Without hesitation, he leapt into motion, moving faster than the ship could anticipate. The alien pilot inside froze as a shadow moved over the hull. Before it could react, Jackson Kane had breached the ship, moving through corridors like a ghost. He could sense every crew member, every system, every weapon. His instinct screamed for blood, but he resisted. He was no longer a predator acting on instinct. He was a force calculating every move with purpose. In minutes, he had incapacitated the entire crew without lethal force. He accessed their communications and scanned the data, discovering plans for multiple strikes against human colonies coordinated across star systems. The scale of the threat made his heart pound, but the alien blood enhanced his focus. Each piece of information was clear, every pattern visible. He transmitted the intelligence to human command, ensuring the colonies would be prepared. Yet he knew that by doing so, he had drawn attention, not just from this fleet, but from higher powers watching from afar. Across the stars, whispers of a hybrid human with unmatched power spread quickly. Entire civilizations recalculated their strategies. Plans of conquest and defense shifted because of him. Hours later, Jackson stood atop the cliff again, watching the retreat of the alien fleet. His body pulsed with power, the alien blood reminding him that he was no longer fully human. But he had used that power with purpose, with restraint, with morality. That was what distinguished him from the predators he had fought. That was what would define his legend. Yet the tension within him had grown. The alien instincts whispered more insistently now. You can reshape the universe. You can dominate. You can rule. Jackson clenched his teeth, forcing the thoughts down. Control, he reminded himself. He must master the power, or risk losing himself entirely. A sudden tremor ran through the planet. Jackson's senses detected a massive energy spike from a distant star system, a force beyond any human technology, beyond any alien power he had encountered. His instincts flared. Something was coming. Something that could challenge not only his strength, but the very balance of the universe. Kaldar emerged silently beside him, once more. "This is why legends are dangerous," he said. "You have become a symbol, Jackson Kane. But symbols attract attention. Some seek guidance. Some seek challenge. Some seek your destruction. The universe will not allow one being to rise unchecked." Jackson's eyes glimmered red in the twilight. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. Every act, every choice, every display of power was being observed, not just by humans or aliens, but by forces beyond comprehension. He understood that his next actions would not just impact his planet or his solar system, but the fate of entire civilizations. He closed his eyes and let the power within him flow through every vein, every nerve, every thought. He could feel the currents of influence spreading outward, like ripples across a vast ocean. He realized, with a mix of awe and fear, that he had become more than a soldier, more than a hybrid, more than a legend. He was a variable in the grand design of the cosmos, a force that could reshape history itself. Jackson opened his eyes, determination blazing. "Then I will act," he whispered. "I will master this power. I will protect humanity. And I will ensure that the universe knows my name not as a monster, but as a guardian." From the shadows, Kaldar watched silently, a faint smile touching his lips. "You are ready, Jackson Kane. But readiness does not mean safety. The universe watches, and what comes next will test not only your power but your soul. Prepare yourself." As night fell fully, Jackson Kane gazed at the stars. Across the galaxy, fleets moved, planets stirred, civilizations recalculated. Whispers of a hybrid human warrior spread like wildfire. Some trembled in fear, some watched in awe, some plotted against him. The awakening was complete. The legend was no longer confined to a single planet or battlefield. Jackson Kane had become a force that even the universe could not ignore. And somewhere in the deep reaches of space, a presence older than most stars stirred, drawn by the energy he radiated. A test far greater than any he had faced awaited. The final challenge, the ultimate reckoning of human will and alien power, was coming. Jackson's chest tightened as he felt it. This was no ordinary enemy. This was something that could not be fought with strength alone, nor speed, nor strategy. It was a test of essence, of being. And Jackson Kane, hybrid, soldier, legend, must rise beyond even his own understanding, or be consumed. The universe had turned its gaze upon him. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Stars shimmered with cold light, planets rotated silently, and distant fleets drifted in tense anticipation. Somewhere deep in space, unseen by most, an energy pulsed like a heartbeat, a rhythm that matched the one in Jackson Kane's own veins. Jackson stood alone atop a crumbled tower on his home planet, eyes glowing faintly red in the dim starlight. He had faced death, alien predators, his own dark hunger, and armies of humans and aliens alike. Every battle, every choice, every restraint had led him here. He could feel it now, the culmination of everything he had become. The alien blood in him pulsed with power unlike anything before. It had shaped him, strengthened him, awakened instincts that defied human comprehension. Yet it had not consumed him. He had mastered it. Control and power flowed through him in perfect balance. Jackson could feel the universe itself shifting in response, unseen currents of energy reacting to his presence, bending subtly around him. And then he sensed it, something vast, ancient, beyond comprehension. It was not a fleet, not an army, not even a being he had encountered. It was the very force of the cosmos, a presence that had been watching, waiting, testing, measuring his rise. The whispers of centuries-old power called to him, promising transformation, divinity, immortality, or destruction. Kaldar appeared at his side, silent and imposing. "It has come," the ancient vampire said, voice heavy with gravity. "The final test. The universe itself challenges you. Nothing you have faced before will compare." Jackson nodded, understanding. He had anticipated battles, enemies, hunger, but this was different. This was the essence of existence itself questioning whether he belonged in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. A blinding light tore across the sky. A massive figure emerged from the void, energy radiating like the fusion of stars, its form shifting and unstable, impossible for human eyes to perceive fully. Jackson felt the presence pierce his mind, probing, testing, measuring his will, his power, and his humanity. The universe itself had come to judge him. Jackson did not flinch. He could feel the alien instincts whispering, urging him to dominate, to strike, to claim his place as the apex predator. But he held firm. He had mastered control. He had learned that power without purpose was chaos. He clenched his fists, focusing, centering himself, grounding his mind in humanity while letting the hybrid strength flow freely. "Show me," the cosmic force whispered, a sound that echoed in his mind, in his bones, in the very atoms around him. "Prove that you are worthy. Prove that you can balance power and purpose. Prove that you can shape the universe without being consumed by it." Jackson's chest heaved, his senses flaring beyond human limits. He could feel every heartbeat on his planet, every flicker of energy in distant systems, every movement of fleets approaching or retreating. He could sense life, instinct, thought, and intention as if the entire cosmos had become a single organism, and he was at its center. The transformation began. His body expanded, not grotesquely, but perfectly, every cell charged with alien energy and human resolve. Wings, subtle and strong, unfurled from his back, shimmering like liquid night. His eyes blazed with cosmic fire, glowing red and gold simultaneously. Muscles, senses, and mind were honed to perfection. He was no longer a human soldier. He was a hybrid force, a bridge between life and energy, predator and protector, human and alien, mortal and eternal. Yet the hunger still whispered, darker than before. You could consume, dominate, destroy. Jackson clenched his teeth. "No," he whispered. "I will not become the monster you want me to be. I am my own master." The cosmic presence roared, testing him, pressing against his mind like a tide of stars and planets, bending reality itself. Jackson focused. Every memory, the battles, the lives saved, the choices he had made, the restraint he had held, fueled him. Every act of morality, every act of courage became a shield, grounding him in purpose. He lifted into the void, faster than light itself, moving through dimensions that humans could not perceive. Stars bent in arcs around him, energy streams splitting and flowing in response to his presence. The universe tested him in every way: speed, strength, will, morality, but Jackson endured. He had mastered the hunger, mastered his alien instincts, and now, for the first time, he was free of limitation. Then the cosmic force spoke again, a sound that felt like the birth of galaxies. "You are worthy, Jackson Kane. You are the bridge. You are the force that will tip the balance. But remember, power is a responsibility. Choice defines legacy. Will you shape the universe or be consumed by it?" Jackson's eyes blazed brighter. "I will shape it," he said firmly. "I will protect life. I will master power. I will not be a weapon. I will be a guardian." The cosmic force pulsed, then withdrew slightly, acknowledging his answer. Energy cascaded around him, folding reality, bending space, and rewriting the possibilities of the universe itself. Jackson Kane hovered, radiant, unstoppable, yet fully conscious of the responsibility his power carried. From the shadows of space, alien fleets, human colonies, and even rogue civilizations watched in awe and fear. They could feel the shift, the transformation, the rise of a being who defied comprehension. Whispers spread of a hybrid human who had mastered alien power, who had faced the dark hunger and survived, who had transcended mortality itself. Jackson Kane had become more than legend. He had become a universal force. Yet in the center of it all, Jackson remained grounded. The humans he had saved, the soldiers he had guided, the choices he had made, they were the anchors of his humanity. He realized that power alone was meaningless. It was purpose, choice, and morality that defined a true legend. Kaldar appeared beside him one last time. "The universe has witnessed your transformation," he said. "Few ever reach this level. But remember, the story does not end. Power attracts attention. Challenges will come. Enemies will rise. The universe will test you, again and again. But now you are ready." Jackson Kane looked down at his home planet, the tiny world of humans, their cities, and the people he had sworn to protect. The dark hunger had been conquered. His alien instincts were mastered. His power was unmatched. And yet, he knew this was not the end. The universe was vast, mysterious, and alive. It had tested him, and it would test him again. But Jackson Kane, hybrid, soldier, guardian, legend, was ready. He would shape the cosmos not with domination, but with control, with purpose, and with the moral courage that no alien predator or cosmic force could take from him. The stars pulsed around him, galaxies bent subtly in his presence, and the universe watched. Jackson Kane spread his wings, not in triumph, but in resolve. The ultimate transformation was complete, and the legend of the human who drank alien blood and shocked the universe had begun. The universe would never forget him.